Heavy Jan Challenge.
Will I survive the challenge? Let's find out. What is it about? What's Heavy Jan? Well, the term derived from HeavyPaint, which is the app that I discovered last year. I started seeing paintings pop up, and I was super intrigued by these paintings. They're done by these phenomenal digital artists, but I started to see that because of this app, their style had actually evolved a little bit. So I got super curious, and I purchased the app. I tried it out myself. The first painting was horrendous, but I had so much fun. I was just learning the ins and outs. I was learning my way around this app. But I started to quickly realize that this app, while still kind of basic and simple to navigate, it offered so many opportunities. So after a slew of paintings, I began to level up in ways that I didn't expect. It's like when you're trying out a new medium, you're trying to rein it in, right? It's like you're trying to tame this wild horse. And that was me, teeming with excitement and trying out this app and trying all these different tools, all these different functions, knowing like, what does this brush do? What does that brush do? So late last year, I caught wind. So Vaughan Ling was this freak of the genius. He is the one who single-handedly designed this app. He put out this piece of information. There's gonna be the challenge in January. That's for HeavyPaint, and he's calling it Heavy Jan Challenge. So I've never done a challenge before. What's a challenge? Have you guys heard of challenges like Inktober, Plain April? Probably have. If not, a challenge is basically set up for a month. So let's say Inktober, you would have all these prompts. In Plain April, there are no prompts, but preferably you were painting from direct observation, either outdoor scene or indoor scene. So I've never done a challenge before. I thought this was a great opportunity for me to take it up. So I already live this very busy life. I mean, everyone lives busy lifestyles. I'm the director of a school called Young Gun Studio, where I will coach and mentor not just students who are looking to get and apply to get into these awesome, amazing post-secondary educations, but I also mentor a team of staffs. So I was going, how is it possible that I could sustain this level of effort for the next 31 days in January to be able to pull this off? If I were to do it for like maybe 3 days, fine. A week, fine. But 31 days just seem like it's this impossible feat. But being someone who likes taking up these impossible feats, I thought, okay, maybe I could do it. But where was I going to find the time? There were all these slew of questions that made me very, very curious. Number two, why did I do it? So doing a challenge, I knew I'd never done it, as I aforementioned, but I knew that I was going to be a part of this incredible community. I was already in their Discord group, but it's very different in you just working through prompts yourself versus you working through this group mindset. Like when you're struggling, when you don't want to pick up your pencil, that's when the group is really going to come in. When you're slacking off a little bit, your mindset is going, oh man, all these other amazing artists, aspiring artists, all of them are slaving away at their work and trying to get better. So I better pick up the slack. So that was a tremendous excitement to me, where I could be doing this. It's not me doing this by myself anymore, but it's me doing this with a bunch of amazing artists. The question was also, can I sustain the effort? And if I can sustain this effort, to me, it was like this rite of passage. It's like I was here through doing this, through completing all 31 days, I would be up here. I would be that much better. And that comes to the next point. If you think about it, a challenge is awesome because in such a compressed amount of time, it instills the system in you. It instills framework of working in you, where on average, let's say a painting's to take up an hour, sometimes longer, sometimes a little bit shorter. But after the month, you would have racked up something like 35 to 40 hours of practice. And without this challenge, I knew that I wouldn't be leveling up as quickly. So I was thinking, all right, there's nothing to lose. I'm not thinking about the outcome in terms of quality of these artworks, but I was thinking about, wow, just the amount of leveling up and getting to know more and more about this app and getting a little bit more experience from this app. That was super crucial and that was super dope. Well, I was really looking forward to that. So ever since I was very, very young, I pondered this idea of being able to draw every frame of my life. Now, I knew that was impossible, but as I shared more about the content of this challenge, what I realized was that this was an incredible opportunity for me to be able to bring a certain level of that vision to reality, to be able to celebrate different frames of my life. So let me tell you about the different phases of this journey, from day 1 to day 4 to day 5. It was a series of up and downs. Overall, it's just this crazy uphill battle. This is how it started. I cheated in a way. So day 1 was actually technically day 0. So I started in day 0. So on the last day of 2022, I already started my painting. And I was going, what do I want to do? What do I use this as an opportunity to get better at? And my current phase of my artist career, I'm really focused on light and color. So I went, okay, I'm just gonna start taking still lifes and start painting still lifes. So that's how I started my day 1, which was actually day 0. So day 1 and day 2, I was painting still lifes, and there were 45-minute paintings. Nothing special, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is pretty nice. But day 3, I started to go, what else could I paint? Could I paint one of my favorite subjects ever? I'm a huge car guy. I went from a sneakerhead to eventually getting into the whole car culture. So could I bring my passion for cars and of course my passion for art, can I bring them together? What would come of that intersection, of that collaboration, of that synthesis? So I took this image I got from the internet, and it was of this 992, the rear end of a 992, like ramping up the mountain, speeding up the mountain, and so flying through the twisties. So I took that subject, started painting it. I had so much fun doing it because the challenge really creates a framework. Usually what I would do is spend like hours on end because I didn't really have a limit of time. In this case, I knew I wanted to finish it within one sitting, probably 45 minutes. Sat down, had the reference picture, so the layers, they started piling up from the background, the mountain drop, to the road, to the car itself. Very lastly, I had so much fun with the smoke, the dust that was coming out from the tail of the car. The app itself was amazing because I literally didn't really know my way around it, so I kept tinkering. I was a scientist, and I tried out all these opportunities, all these potentials, kept tinkering until I got the right effect. And I hope you can see it. I hope you can feel the speed of it and the whole excitement of it. Now, that was a turning point for me. I went, rather than picking a photo off of the internet coming from my friend, I wanted to see if I could pick a slew of images from my own experiences with these cars. So I started to dig through the photos and went, isn't this an amazing opportunity for me to celebrate the experience that I had in my road trip that I went on last year? So last spring break, I had this wild idea, actually before the spring break. I had this wild idea. I told my wife, I would love to go on this epic road trip with you. So we live in Vancouver. And so the idea was to go down Pacific Northwest Highway and go all the way down so from Vancouver, hitting up Olympia to Portland, all the way to Highway 101, the coast. And our final stop, we're going through the Napa Valley, our final stop would be LA. So the car that we took was this very, very special car. It's a 1992 911. So the model name is a 964 C2. And I had a tremendous confidence in this car. I thought, hey, don't worry about it. It's like, it will definitely be able to handle this trip because it's never failed me. So we went on this adventure, and literally the first night, and you'll be able to see it. So this was day 5 when I decided, okay, let's actually day 4, let's pick a theme. Let's pick this road trip. And I began taking on these photographs and I began setting them up. So I started going, okay, day 1, what do I want to paint? Day 2 of the road trip, day 3 of the road trip. So you'll be able to see how this road trip immediately played out, that it was an adventure. Literally the first night, I was driving down I-5. This was at 10 p.m. So with my wife, we're just driving down, having a good time, listening to good music, and just celebrating life. Just going, wow, yeah, we're on this road trip. We're about to make it to Olympia. And I was like, whoa, this is the weird feeling. So I had a premonition. And surely enough, right after that premonition, my steering wheel started vibrating profusely. I'm like, oh my God, this is no good. So I pulled off immediately to the side of a road. My heart sank because I smelled smoke and I thought it was something mechanical, but I found out that my tire had gone flat. It just popped entirely. So I don't want to get too much into the road trip itself, but a lot of things had happened. My tire popped. I ended up finding out it was actually the 3-piece wheel that was leaking air. So we had to find a wheel builder so you'll be able to see that air. So we met up, so I found this amazing guy. I met this amazing guy. So many people in that road trip helped us out. Met this amazing guy. He helped us out. He fixed the wheel. So we became good friends. So day number 5, I hit a wall on day number 5. This whole journey just seemed not even improbable. It was just impossible. Like, it's ludicrous. So my lifestyle is this. I'm already packed. So I wake up at 8:30 in the morning, go to the gym, and then I start doing work. I started doing work to prep for studio. At 3 p.m., get to studio, work all the way till 9:30, and then get home, eat. It's 10:30. Right? Where am I going to find this extra time? Where am I going to find this extra hour, 2 hours? So oftentimes it was eating dinner and then going, oh man, should I sit down on the couch? Can I watch YouTube? Can I Netflix? No, I can't. I ate dinner. And that's what was really amazing about this entire experience. Because of this framework, it forced me to be in this artist mindset, to really be able to respect this journey and go, when I really didn't feel like working, I still got myself up from the dinner table, took a little bit of a break on the couch, maybe 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the time was, and moved myself to my workstation. Once I sat down, put in my AirPods, started listening to music, it became easier, right? The getting into the flow of it. But it was that first move, getting out of the chair, getting out of the dinner table, getting off the couch. That was definitely the most difficult. On day 22, so there are a bunch of these photos that will be flashing up here, but on day 22, I was like, you know what? I've already made it this far. This entire journey has been difficult, painting and finishing each. Sometimes I would start early in the morning. Sometimes I would finish, I would just do some work in the afternoon. Sometimes I would literally not finish until 2 a.m. And then it was like next day, the mental hurdle of rinsing and repeating was just like immense. But day 22, I was like, you know what? I already gone this far, so I better complete it. I know with every ounce of my ability, my energy, I had to complete it. Day 24 was the wall. So I met up that morning with a new acquaintance of mine. His name's Vladimir Mokri. He's this amazing concept artist. So we sat down in the coffee shop. He went through some of the works and he was like, Pete, I don't really understand. How is it that you can teach digital painting? How is it that you can teach concept art? And it was like, oh my God, what are you saying? I felt shameful. My face had gone red. I didn't know how to even respond to him, because it was like the literal meaning of my existence as a human being was to create. And in a couple of sentences, he had almost robbed that identity from me. I went, oh wow, what are you maybe you're right. Maybe I suck at this. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought. And so it was like I was hit by a train. That day of work was very difficult to go through, and I went home. I remember going back to my in-laws. My wife was in the kitchen doing the dishes, and I went up to her and told her what happened. My wife being this most amazing human being, my most amazing partner, she gave me another one of those hugs that I will remember literally for the rest of my life. And took me in, comforted me, was telling me that it's gonna be okay. So I still ate my dinner. I didn't even feel like eating, but it was just this idea, the weight of the pen, it just felt like I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't do it, because at that day, in those moments, I just felt like I had no ability. Why am I even doing this? So the words that Vladimir has spoken to me, in fairness to him, he actually challenged me to be a much better artist. But in that moment, it was like there were shackles to my ability. So picking up the pen that night was tremendously difficult. Getting up from the dinner table and sitting down and getting prepped. So the day 24 painting that you'll see right here it's definitely one of the most meaningful paintings of this entire set. So it also marked the day that we actually arrived in San Francisco, which was to be our final destination of that trip. Yes, because we had to cut it short. So it also marked the day that I took in San Francisco City, that I met San Fran for the first time. And I remember taking the photo. It was on the hills, right? The rolling hills that SF is so famous for. And I just remember the beginning, the first 20 minutes of that painting was so difficult. Every stroke, it was just like labor. And I really challenged myself. I have to remind myself, hey, every stroke, no matter how difficult, it's a labor of love. And you also need to push past these things. I need to push past these moments of doubts, because I know once I push past it, what lies on the other end of the tunnel, what lies on the other end is simply gonna be astronomically amazing. And that's exactly what happened. I remember the first part of the painting the grounds, painting the background, painting the city, the street, the buildings on the side, they just looked like crap. They were so awful. And I wanted to stop. I just wanted to quit at that moment. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because this painting turned out to be one of the best paintings, if not my favorite painting of this entire set. The way the car sat in the shadow and the way that it reflected all these lights from the city streets. I thought I captured the lighting, the mood so beautifully. So day 24, super difficult. I was questioning life. I was questioning my skills. I was questioning what I was doing. Why am I even doing this challenge? I'm so glad that I pushed past it. That was defining the crowning moment. And that brought me all the way to the final day, day 31. Day 31. One word. It's not elation. Emptiness. I remember going up to my wife and her giving me another hug, because I was like, babe, I've done it. I finished it. But during that hug, it was like, oh my God, what's the meaning of my existence as an artist now? Right? The framework that really pushed me to create all these awesome works, now it's gone. I'm like, oh, I better start searching for the next one. But what did I get out of it? I think one of the most important things, if not the most important thing that I learned, is not having time is simply an excuse. I often say this. I hear my students say this. I hear other creators say this. I wish I could do this, but life's too busy. I have other things going on, so I'll postpone it. I'll come back to it. I'll do it another time, right? We always hear of that. Procrastination is like the creator's Achilles heel. But through this project, I learned that even though I was super busy and there are so many days where I was kind of burnt out already, I still made more time. Be it that I carved more time early on in the morning. Sometimes I actually woke up at 5:30 to create a little bit of time for this project. Sometimes it was like sneaking in some painting time in the afternoon. Most of the times it was starting late in the evening because I really enjoy the quietness of the evening where I could just put on my headset and just work away. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like a meditative moment. But not having enough time was an excuse, and I overcame that. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you make your mind up, I have to do this. I have to do this today. I have to do this week or this month. You grant it time. You put on your gym strip. You sit in your station. You grab that pen. You commit to it. Before you know it, it's not 5 seconds in, 5 minutes in, it's 50 minutes in, and maybe 5 hours in, and you're creating this masterpiece. Taking mini sabbaticals is insanely good for the creative soul. So what was this road trip? This road trip, why did I go on it? This road trip is a chance for me to break out of the bubble. Normally, what do? Go from Vancouver, hop on a plane, and get to San Francisco or go to LA to go to Disney World, right? In this case, no, I wanted to get to LA or I wanted to get to San Fran differently. I wanted to see everything along the way. I wanted to experience the world through the car. Yes, there were so many mishaps that happened, unforeseen circumstances that had happened. But I think it's in these trials and tribulations that really make up this deep ingrained experience for both my wife and I, that then I can actually reach out of, right? Revisit these stories and to bring it to then my artist reality, to create the new out of not a reference picture, but out of a true lived experience. So soulful creations only come from the soulful living. So in a way, the artworks, they actually transcended the memories themselves. The artworks became something a little bit bigger. So you can see that the colors in the later scenes, I had started exploring, I started experimenting a lot more. I try my best to think about color grading as a series. What was it like in the beginning and how did it change over time, as the road trip went on? Where are these moments of immense pain, actually, and also where are these moments where it was like a celebration of love, it was joyous. The other thing that I learned is action really leads to reaction. So in this case, on day one, it's not like I sat down and I went, oh, this is a great opportunity to paint all these scenes of the road trip that we went on last spring break. The first few frames, the first few days, they were literally just studies. And one thing led to another. I went, wouldn't that be interesting? And I started pursuing this idea. So I learned this from the book called Subtle Art of Not Giving a F*** Manson. It really highlighted and taught me this one idea. Often as creators, we let our inspiration do the talking. It's literally a starting point for most of us. So inspiration has to happen in order for reaction, right? In order for us to go like, oh wow, that was inspirational. I got inspired by this artist or this movie, so now I'm gonna start painting. But he taught in the book, let's flip that script around. Let's change it around so it's action that leads to reaction. Once I learned that, I was able to become a lot more efficient, effective. I started to be way more productive as an artist. So in this case, action that led to more reaction that led to inspiration, because I believe as artists, most of us, we're perfectionists. So when we do something, we're like, oh man, that looks so bad. That's kind of like trash. Why am I producing trash? So I'm going, how do I actually turn it from trash into gold, right? Into something that's much better. It doesn't necessarily have to be gold, but at least it's going through the grind to figure out, I did this. What's wrong with it? How do I make an improvement on it? So action leading to reaction, that's definitely one of the best things that I learned and actually infused into my work, instilled into my work. The last point that I want to make here in terms of what did I get out of this whole experience was that you can't make the best art if it's only through the lens of how other artists, other photographers have seen it. Often in our creative process, we gather references. And most of these references we haven't doctored, we haven't created ourselves. So what ends up happening is we can still create a really beautiful piece of artwork, but you were never really there. And so from this whole experience, I realized, wow, the difference between my own works, not in anyone else's works, in my own works comparatively, seeing some old works where it was out of reference pictures versus seeing this entire set. This entire set just went that much deeper. It came out of this ingrained human experience that was so difficult as a road trip to try to complete. There was so much like mental strain on the both of us, my wife and I, that when I look back at it, like, okay, you know what? In the moment, it was difficult, but it also gave me so much material for me to create from, for me to make these artworks the way that they do, the way that they appeal to you guys. Lastly, I want to say this. Art is love. This is a series that really helps us, that helps me frame it so that I'm celebrating love. Love in what capacity? On the fundamental level, it's love for art. On another level, it's love for these machines that are timeless. But on the most personal level is this whole series coming together to celebrate my experience with my amazing, amazing wife. So what's the channel about? Have you wondered, how did this artist do that? This is amazing. This is a masterpiece. This is opus magnus. This is just something that's out of this world. Oh my God. I wonder if I could ever be that good. I mean, I've always wondered that. I've always wondered that since I was a little kid. So I hope that through this channel, we can reveal some of these processes. I can show you how some of these processes are done. We can talk about these other artists. We can talk about these other artists' journeys. So what are we going to do here? We're going to demystify the creative process. The channel is going to bring inspiration. It's going to bring education. It's going to bring substance. It's also going to bring some entertainment. We're going to work on projects that are super creative, really interesting. Hopefully it's pretty out there. Hopefully it brings some sense of inspiration to you guys. We're going to feature artists. We're going to talk about them and their creative works, talk about their processes. We're going to tell stories. We're going to show, very, very importantly, we're going to show that the struggle is real. The artist's life, the creative process is not easy. You can definitely do it. And what we want to do is to shed some light on that, is to demystify that. What we're going to do is to empower you as the audience. We want to empower you with the mindset, with the skill set, with the tool set to be able to create the art that you want to create, to be able to build the world that you want to create. And this is a call to action. Let's get it done. Let's celebrate what you have. Let's overcome the fears that you got. We're going to tackle projects. We're going to feature really dope artists all over the world maybe, but hopefully we're going to start with Vancouver. We're going to talk about art education, some do's and don'ts. But most importantly, what are we here to do? We're here to celebrate you as a creative artist. We're here to empower you with the mindset, with the skill set, with the tool set to be able to overcome these fears that you have, to be able to start step by step, build the future that you want to build, create the art that you aspire to create, that you didn't know that you had it in you. Until then, stay tuned. Shouh's out.